Hello again. This is Culture Train on Spirit of Nigeria Radio, where we bring the diaspora up to speed. We're sorry about the mistake that we've had with the Zoom. I honestly cannot explain it because they were asking us to sign in to audio, and on the audio, there was no Nigeria. So I don't know how we could have signed in from there. But for those who join us on Zoom and that we have lost, we're very, very sorry. In any case, the Culture Train will now take off right away. Thank you very much for your patience. Sometimes this technology business, you really cannot understand it. I'm so struggling to understand. So if you are with us now, this is Culture Train on Spirit of Nigeria Radio. And as I've said, I have in the room my brother, Richard Mammah, who is at the head, is the head honcho of what we call a program that is trying to encourage reading culture. Let me tell you that Richard has been at this for a long time. I met him on it. I remember you used to organize the Synergy Educational Festival. Was it a festival? Synergy Educational.
There's also reading promotions.
Reading promotions. Yeah, now you come back. For a long time, you left. You went to make money and then you come back. Well, Richard, thank you very much for coming. And I'm sorry that we had this Zoom trouble. Let me just put it there, or Zoom doom, according to Professor Wole Soyinka. He said he doesn't like Zoom because it looked like Zoom doom. So now that we're here, promoting reading culture. Well, let me start with you personally. What is the attraction for promoting reading? Why do you think that promoting reading is very important in a society like this?
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's a straightforward thing. It is said that people must do what they must do, and so I've searched around, and I think that what I must do is reading, and that's the first reason why I'm involved. Second, there is a need for reading, because, you know, simple phrase, in the beginning was the word, you know, the word is critical, you know, and when we talk about reading, we're talking about the word in its different dimensions, because it is the word that becomes the text, it is the word that becomes the paragraph, it is the word that becomes the book, it is the word, whether the book is in the physical, the digital, the audio, you know, or whichever form, you know, it comes to the reader. And we have also come to find out that without readers, you actually can get the kind of traction that society and societies, you know, should have at this point. So I think it's important that we get to engage the word. We have to be a people of the word, you know, in that deep sense. So I think it's a critical thing. We need readers to have a viable and vibrant society.
Thank you very much. So reading. Now, what you are saying, in a society like Nigeria, where the vote for education this year is the lowest, 5 point something. And our president went to that summit in London where they said people should raise up their hand if they vote for more funding for education. I think Rwanda said 26, they're doing 26%. Ghana, Kenya is doing 25%. Is it Namibia doing 23? People are doing that, and we're doing 5.6. And we want to promote reading culture. So for me, reading and Nigeria cannot be in the same sentence. Am I right? Or wrong?
No, you do have a point, you know, and it's quite unfortunate because if you go back this same history in the same country, regions where regional governments were spending close to 50%, you know, in their education budget, you know, even the northern region under Ahmadu Bello invested heavily in the educational enterprise, in reading promotions, you know, and in projects of that nature. Setting up the Ahmadu Bello University, yes. You know, setting up quite a lot of institutions, teacher training, you know, and even colleges, because you remember also that the southern space had a head start over the north.
Yes.
Almost something like a 5-7 decades head start. And so Ahmadu Bello had work to do, and so he began to expand educational infrastructure in the northern region. Tragically, governments that have come from the same northern region, governments that have benefited, government personalities, including some of them in the current system, that have benefited from those investments that were made then, cannot catch it that today and for the future, we need to continue boosting these investments. So Nigeria is in a very embarrassing situation when it comes to educational investments and, of course, reading promotions.
Is this something to do with our leadership recruitment? Because if you say that the standard for you to become president or governor is KUSAT, it's KUSAT. So if you say that, why should anybody aspire to even fund education? Because if you are, I'm not putting down the KUSAT people, but in other places, even if you have KUSAT, there are vocational training. So you are educated in your discipline. It doesn't mean that you have to have a master's certificate and become doctor, old doctorate degree or master's or degree. But if you're a carpenter, they train you up to that level that you become, even for artists, that's what they call the MFA. Instead of you going to get a master's and master degree in that, they make you MFA. And MFA, you can become a professor. So is it something to do with the way we value education that we say, even for the president of the country, should job is KUSAT, to the point that some people don't even have, and they are president today?
No, you are perfectly right. The truth about it is that, they say when you cut your nose to spite your face, we have gotten to this situation where we have raised, politics above and over every other thing. So you have this, fierce political competition, which comes down to aggrandizement, and the plunder of resources, state resources in that sense. Who holds the horns to be able to cut the yam for the different constituents and know who to disburse this grant to or that grant to, So when people say that we have to return to the basics, this is what we're talking about, because if we do not make the adjustments we need to make in order to have a proper developing society, we would continue to go downhill. It's shameful, because when you check at the indicators that are coming from all over the space, Nigeria is down there, whether it's out of school children, whether it is a low education budget, whether it is human development index, Nigeria is down there, and we don't deserve this. A nation that's produced eminent professors, eminent, intellectuals, eminent, authors. The African Writers series was a Nigerian incentive.
Of course.
So we don't deserve what we are getting.
All the prizes.
We won all the prizes that can be won.
Okay. So promote reading culture, because I'm trying to wrap my head around the idea of promoting reading culture and what it means for a society. Is it that people just pick anything? Because look, we say there's low reading culture, but I can tell you, even from the side that we did when I was still in the newsroom, people are reading. You know what they're reading? They read religious tracts. They read political tracts. I mean, there was a study that says that the Nigerians actually read more Bible than any other people in the world. The way we are. So is it that Nigerians are not reading, or they are not reading the right? I'm talking to you now as a promoter of reading.
No, it's a twofold scenario.
Okay.
The first point is that, reading is a culture. There are different cultures, and culture systems. Reading itself has to be a culture for it to be viable. Now, part of the culture is building literacy, which also comes with going to school. The indicators tell us that about 10 million, and more of our population now have not even gone to school. So that if you put a book in their hand, if they turn it upside down, they will not know the difference between turning it, right about. So we do have that our literacy rates have dropped. Our, in terms of the standards, even of the education that is being delivered to the citizenry, has also dropped, because you also have unmotivated teachers, poorly remunerated teachers, poorly appreciated teachers. You can't give what you don't have. if you don't have passion for something, you cannot communicate it, with effectiveness. So we do have that shortfall. So in terms of grooming readership, we have the default that we are not properly positioned to groom proper readership. And then there's a third default, which is continuing readership, which is, we have this, talk, this pidgin phrase, I have finished school, I have finished book. People, in final year in the universities, they drop their books and say, I have finished school, I have finished book. Now that is faulty, because nobody finishes book. You keep reading until you drop dead. That's the reality of it. More so, we're in a world where innovations, inventions, you have to keep doing refresher. The MDs of the major corporations, whether it's Fortune 500 or the highest paying corporations in Nigeria, why do they go to Harvard and Yale and Princeton every year to do a refresher? Whether it's the Atiku family going to Dubai for 3 weeks, or, across the space, because they understand that continuing reading, continuing engagement is the way to remain on top. So we've got to have a system that brings our people into this continuing reading framework, and we don't have it at the moment in a structured sense, and that's part of what we try to do in a voluntary sense through the network of book clubs.
I'm coming to it.
Yes.
I want us to keep the network so that people get to the reason why you are doing what you're doing. Now, let me take a question that should have come later. Today, I was reading your Facebook page, and you were spotlighting a particular book that you marked the book because they said 2 Nigerians have made contribution to innovation. That is innovation we need. I've forgotten the title of the book. I wrote it down.
Prosperity Paradox.
Prosperity Paradox. And there's 2 Indomie Noodle, and which one again? There's another Nigerian innovation that is also there.
Okay.
Okay. So, knowledge economy, where the world is now. Nigeria voting 5.6% for education. When UNESCO the UNESCO recommendation is that you must do 26, but we're doing 6. Even under the previous government, we're doing like 18, 19. So how can we drop so low? That's one part of the question. Second part of the question is, in a country of 83 point something million children out of school, sometimes they say 10 point something, but it's actually 83 point something million people who are out of school. In a country where you have that, where you have quite a lot of your young people who are no longer in school, they drop out of school, either because of security challenges, because of economic disempowerment and the rest of them. How can you talk about reading culture and promoting reading culture and also getting people to read? But let me welcome His Excellency Ambassador Ayo Olukoni. He was with us last week when we were doing the program on Babani. Ambassador is one person who has been promoting. If I'll put him on the spot. I've told him anytime you show your face, I'll put you on the spot. I'm going to ask you what Nasima can do for promotion. Well, I have a general of reading promotion in the house, Richard Mammah. I'm sure you remember him, sir. So I'll get back to you, sir. But you're welcome, very much. You're very much welcome. We had initial problem with the Zoom, but now we're back. Yes, sir. So I'm asking you. Go on, sir.
Well, thank you very much for having me on. I was just doing something else when I, went under this.
No, but you're always welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you for this initiative, honestly speaking. I'm sorry the light is not too much. But I think what we're doing in NASIMA is to promoting the creativity sector. And I tell people that when the Nigerian economy was recalibrated, I think 2000 and what? Was it 15 or 14? I can't remember exactly now.
Yeah. 2012, sir.
Yes, thereabout.
When we rebased
and then it catapulted the Nigerian economy to the front as the biggest economy in Africa. The service sector, and if you do an analysis of that one, the creativity sector was one of those areas that made a significant contribution for that achievement. Now, fast forward to about 2018, thereabout, 2018, it was 239 billion naira. I repeat, 239 billion naira. That is the creativity sector, which span a whole range of areas. 11 areas, your music and the poetry, the books and what you have. That is an area which we should look at in terms of the economics of the cultural products. So in the area of encouraging young people to read, it helps to inspire a lot of people in terms of writing too as well. And I think my dear sister Chimamanda is a good example of contemporary times in terms of the possibility of you being able to make a lot, to make a living out of it. So we must encourage, especially now that we are struggling with social media and text messages, small little, Instagram. It takes people away from. You cannot take it away. People still have to read intellectual book to be able to develop themselves in terms of what exactly can be done. So this is a good thing. This is an initiative within the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture. Traditionally, it's always been the question of commerce, industry, mines, and agriculture. But the creativity sector is also an area of interest for us. And we would like to work with anybody across the place in terms of what we can do in this area, as far as chambers across the countries are concerned.
In fact, you have you've helped me in the question I wanted to ask. I want to interrogate a statement you made about reading on the phone and the rest of them. So, if, for instance, the network of book clubs and reading promoters of Nigeria, if they approach Nassima, for instance, what the way you have crunched the figure around creativity sector, what can Nassima, for instance, do for that kind of organization? Because it's, reading sometimes can be almost intangible. They say they want to promote reading culture. What kind of thing? What are we reading? What kind of material are we reading? How will Nassima, being a chamber of commerce, industries, and mine, because I'm trying to put business creativity in the same in the same pot, in the same room.
Yes, I understand the point which you're making, and that comes also from the perspective that the chambers of commerce itself is entering a new phase as far as the old area of the issues of commerce, industry is concerned. And that is why in the chambers of commerce, we're now putting on our thinking caps to expand the frontiers. So areas like we are talking about are areas which, of course, are interest to us. I'll give you an example now. We've just come back from our third council meeting in Akure. And the cultural intervention, which was part and parcel of that event. I mean, the usual thing, chambers of commerce people are coming, they're talking about businesses and things like that. Cultural intervention are usually part and parcel of that particular event. And if you look at the beauty of the entire thing, the dancers from Owo, the dancers from Akure, and all of that, and then the young people who are in school, who are part and parcel of the whole event, are people who the Akure chambers, we encourage them to please catch them young, encourage them as far as your question of entrepreneurship itself is concerned. And so implicitly, they have to read. They have to read in terms of what exactly can be done to be able to. So the book clubs across the places, maybe in the secondary school, in the university themselves should also. And I'll give you another example. While I was going to Akure, I had invited FUTA, the entrepreneurship department of the Federal University of Technology, to hold a meeting with us. And so they held a meeting with us, and then we were talking about bridging the gap between town and gown. So it is possible for the book club to be encouraged across the places while they are talking about the question of, being educated in terms of area of entrepreneurship, in terms of innovation. Of course, those of them, we've had very many people. I know very many medical doctors who abandoned their trade and are into writing now. So we can start this from the beginning. The long and short of what I'm saying is that expanding the frontiers as far as the chambers of commerce is concerned to include this area which we're talking about now. I think, I'll say this and I'll shut up. I had a meeting recently with an Israeli outfit. Sometimes this week, we're looking at the digital ecosystem in terms of what advantages, what can be done. And don't forget, we also have books on Kindle and things like that these days. And then the old man was saying, he said, the only thing that would limit our collaboration is our imagination. So let us be very imaginative in terms of how to go about this. And I think it is something which is doable, honestly speaking. And that's my own experience across the world as a career diplomat who have served in about 5 continents and very many places where I have served.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. But don't go away, because we want Richard to respond to some of the things that you have said. Sir, in terms of reading, I'm happy that you've gone back to the idea of Kindle, because when people hold phone and all of those things, there are also reading there. There's audio book and all of that, but you come back to that. Richard, maybe you should explain the network now. I mean, this is our opportunity to explain the network, because the ambassador is listening and other people are listening, and they're trying to gauge how this could connect business and reading. Let me welcome Dr. SHAIBU HUSSEINI, himself a great reader, a writer, a journalist, a dancer. There's nothing SHAIBU does not do. And now he's a teacher, newly minted PhD, and he's going to be helping us with doing reflection on those actors that I said have left us, which is unfortunate. But he has. Yeah. SHAIBU is the only one I know who has done probably over 350 interviews of individuals. And all of them, he has volume that he has not published. You know, because people know all those actors, they dress well, but there are stories about them that he writes on every week. So he has all those interviews. But we get back to SHAIBU, who is going to be helping us in the second segment of this program. So Richard, the network. I hope Dr. SHAIBU is listening. You're welcome, sir.
Okay. Yeah, this is what it is. The network of book clubs and reading promoters in Nigeria is an initiative that came on stream in a formal sense in February of 2020. That was a few weeks, to the shutting in of all the systems as we know it. Because on account of COVID. Now, so we started in February 2020 and did a few meetings, and then we had to now migrate to WhatsApp and Zoom and continue our engagements. By the time we were marking our first anniversary in February this year, the colloquium we did we're still in the COVID season, so we did the session, as a virtual commemoration. Okay. But what is instructive is that we started in February 2020, but the whole process of trying to aggregate, book clubs together in the country has begun, several decades back. I remember that about 1997, 1998, there was the Network for the Promotion of Reading in Nigeria. Okay. This came after a conference that was supported by the Heinrich Böll Foundation. Okay. Koye Ade Odutola and a couple of people were involved.
I've invited him to join us.
Good. Yes. So we had quite an interesting
The one season. That went to Kaduna and
yes, with Karatu and the other groups, yes. And Reading Association of Nigeria. Yes. We ran it for about 2-3 years, and it petered off. But it remained in our consciousness that someday we've got to do this, because book clubs are just like we talk about, LGAs as being the closest form to the people. Book clubs are the shortest way, the easiest way, the nearest way to aggregate readers, to get a community of readers. If you want to get readers from across Nigeria, you can be hypothetical about it. But if you want to get readers on Toyin Street or in Ijebu Street or in Ekiti, Irekmodun, or just one small community or the other, it's a lot more manageable. So what we said was, we are aware that there are organizations that have set up, small reading, units across the country. Why don't we put them together so that we can have joint activities, joint advocacy, and, be able to push more in the national consciousness, the imperative of ensuring, that we have book clubs everywhere. And that's why, for example, for us now, one of our very interesting pet projects is, having at least one book club in every local government area in this country. We know in Lagos, for example, there are council areas that have up to 5-10, as at now, there are about 50 members of the book of our network. There are council areas that have about 5-10. In Lagos alone, we have just about 20-22 members. Okay. We have in Uyo, we have in Aba, we have in Yanagwa, we have in Oka, we have in Abuja, we have in Gwagwalada, across the country. So we are aggregating them together. We are reaching out, we are asking people to come in, we are asking them to join in, we said, let's present a common voice, a common front, so that we can be in a better position to articulate what we want, where organizations can collaborate with us, and where we can get more and more of our people reading. Okay. And we tell them very practically, when you get up to a manageable number and you think there are too many people in the room, set up a cell B, so that you now have, say between 5-25 members in one unit, set up another cell of another 5-25 members, and then have this coordinating platform, so that at the end of the day, if we have a critical mass of our people reading, we're on the way to getting a better society. Illiteracy and ignorance and non-continuous engagement with books, reading, the knowledge economy, mental development, imaginative systems is half of the challenge of Nigeria today.
Okay, well, thank you very much. You just mentioned Dr. Kole Oditola, who I call him a pioneer of this promote reading culture, because when he was saying it and taking people all over the country, many of us didn't believe. Just join us. And Dr. Itayo Alotu, I'll go back to a question I've asked you before. Just do a quick response to, Ambassador was talking about what the business community, because I think Nasima to representing the business community,
That's
what
true.
they can do to promote creativity, especially using the reading culture. How do you relate to that kind of experience? I still find it difficult to put both business and creativity in the same room. I've tried to work with them before, it didn't work. So how do you react to what Ambassador said about?
No, I think he's spot on. We began by saying that in the beginning was the word. The world of imagination is actually the father of all. If you get into the sciences, it is arts that is the father of all disciplines. Yeah. It is imagination, it is creativity that is the father of all disciplines. By the time people are going into patents, by the time they are going into the digital economy, it all began by people imagining a better world. And where best do you get imagination than in the world of literature, culture, creativity, and art, in that sense. And I think that one of the problems we have had has been to have this, disjuncture between the two economies, as it were. The creative economy is strong. Actually, the creative economy is not an orphan economy. Ambassador was talking about Chimamanda. Chimamanda is not begging. Chimamanda is writing her books. She's publishing her books. She's getting her engagements, and she's being paid handsomely, I would suggest, for it. I think what we need to do is to say, hey, don't treat artists as if they are beggars. Treat them as responsible contributors to the socio-economic, and that's what the rebasing of the Nigerian economy began to show us, and that's what, Nollywood and a number of the other industries have. One of the problems that comes up is that because there's this attempt to not properly put the arts in its right frame, because if you now check, by the time the Ife Book Fair was being run in the 70s and in the 80s, it was a strong and viable system until SAP came, and devalued the economy and created disjuncture in the publishing ecosystem, which has not recovered, till date. You have a country of approximately 200 million people, and then so that means that if you grow this population to be a reading, an active population, how many books would you sell? If you say, for example, there are about 25 million children, from a previous count, in this school system, the formal primary education system. Now, if you have to give 25 million children 10 books each, to read, that is about 250 million books. How many printers are going to produce 250 million books? So it's an economy that has not been properly structured, and systematized, in that sense. Because what this country needs now is a whole lot of creativity. Crude oil is not going to run us for too many years going forward. We are going to the service sector, the non-oil economy, and that means that we've got to go back to the thinking economy, the creative economy, the knowledge economy in that sense. And that's where we come in. Okay. So when we are talking about book love springing up everywhere across the country, some smart organizations are already asking us, hey, where do we come in? Let me just drop this point. We went to the Nigerian International Book Fair a few weeks ago, and we spoke to participants there and told them, hey, you people are involved in the primary production, the primary trade systems, of the, where the book clubs get their materials from. Come aboard. Do you understand that in the past 5-6 weeks, publishers, booksellers are coming to us and saying, hey, we are already setting up our book clubs to join in Onitsha, in Enugu, in Abuja, in Lagos. We are getting, in fact, almost a third of the membership, or let me say a quarter of the membership of the network now in the past 3-4 weeks has been new organizations that have come set up by publishers and booksellers. So they are catching it hey, we need the readers because eventually books must be read. So if we create more readers, we create more markets for books. And if we create more markets for books, we create more taxes for government. If we create more taxes for government, we create more value, GDP value for the nation. So in a sense, we are not doing, business is not doing, reading promoters a favor in the final analysis. Yes, we may need some support to kick off, but hold it, we are viable and vibrant contributors to the national economy.
Okay, so in other words, you key into what ambassadors
it's perfectly in order.
said. Okay. Yeah. So let me welcome another great promoter of reading. Of course, there's one man who goes to every event, even to wedding and naming ceremony, and he has to insist on reading book. Dr. SHAIBU, don't laugh. The man will insist on reading a book at that event. Tony Akosho, who is the of the Committee for Relevant Arts, my mom, is there now. So now, let me go back to the question I asked you, because now you've tied reading to the knowledge economy. Tony like to drop the word knowledge economy every time. But there's a session every Labaf, which is 23 years old now. It's called the Key to the Knowledge Economy. It's about reading. Yeah, Key to the Knowledge Economy, always. So let me ask you, now that we have eggheads in the room, now Dr. Kole Adeoditola, whom you mentioned earlier on, we have Dr. Itayo Alo, we have Dr. SHAIBU HUSSEINI, we have Ambassador Lukoni, and we have Tony Akosho. All the people have been involved in promoting reading culture. The question I asked you when we were having that problem with the Zoom, and I would like Dr. Adeoditola to first respond to this, if he can unmute himself and show his camera. 1992 or 1993, when he did that project, Promote Reading Culture.
96, 97.
96, 97. Yeah. And then the two, I remember I went to Kaduna with them, even as a reporter. And, they were going around the country. Now, the entire North, okay, not the entire North, part of Northwest and part of Northeast, even though I'm telling myself lie now, because the whole of the North is almost on fire. The children are being kidnapped. They are dropping out of school. Parents are saying on television that they don't want to send their children to school again because they are not sure that they will not be kidnapped. Will Kole Adeoditola, for instance, still have that confidence, the hope he had then to say, let's take project Promote Reading Culture to Kaduna, to Kano, to all those places? Will he still have that kind of confidence to do that? If children are being kidnapped, because it means that you could be in the room promoting reading culture and then they just come and pick it. So how do you tackle that? Because that's a very fundamental problem. You can even understand what is happening in the East and in the South, Southwest and co. But how do you do that? Dr. Kole Adeoditola?
Yes, sir.
Yes. I'm saying that what you were doing in 96, 97, I even thought it was earlier. Will you still be able to do that in this age and time?
Yes.
When you would be able to do it?
Yes. But you remember that everything we did was riding on the grace.
Dr. SHAIBU, please just give us, we just cheat a bit into your own segment, please. Go, you have to contribute to
please,
this.
let's go.
Oh, okay. Go on,
everything we did was riding on the grace of people who believed in the project. Apart from Anke, Viola, Olaotan, that was the main engine. And you would remember that when we used to meet in Festac, our big brother, Tony Akosho, would say, just go on and do whatever you want to do. While he was busy making money at Chevron. Would we be able to do the same thing today? Yes, we will probably not be able to travel like we did, but we will be virtual. We will do it from everywhere. We will promote the reading culture using technology. Now, remember that even the hall we used in Kaduna was found through the grace of Mrs. Ene, who was in British Council in Kaduna.
Yes.
The places we used in Ibadan were through the grace of Dr. Remiraji. So there was nothing we did. We were just tapping on our social capital. I don't think anybody paid anything to Egboto Yankosho to use his house for the meetings when even former Mr. Adeshoko was there, now Professor Adeshoko, when he was also helping to manage all of this. So what I'm saying in short was, we were riding on the goodwill of people like Jaman and Nikulakbo on the arts desk that released an Olaiwola, just go and do whatever you want to do with them. That was the only way we survived. And could we do the same thing today? Listening to Richard and the passion, I'm like, wow, I wish I had this kind of passion in 1997. Maybe I would have committed a coup and taken the heads of states out then. If I had this kind of passion in 1997. But basically, repeating myself, we can still do it today, but we would now have to tap into organizations that can help us with technology, where we cannot go there to the north for fear of being kidnapped. Because whatever we couldn't do in 1997, people were willing, they were able, and everybody they volunteered to do some of the things. So that would be my say. But
let me,
Mr. Richard, you can see my white hair. I doff my hat for you. I am really, really impressed.
No, before you remove your cap, let me bust your bubble. I'm supposed to be optimistic about what you have just said, but I'm not sure why I am not. Because you were talking of the use of technology. Just before we started this program, we had a huge problem just because of connectivity. So if you say that you want to do, you can use virtual, are you sure that we'll not be doing what Tony used to call speaking to the usual suspect? Are we talking to the same people? I'm still particular about the people from the north. Those kids who are out of school, who cannot get anywhere. Look, even in the southwest, somebody started appointment. We know what happened to appointment. The area boss will give them a dirty slap and collect appointment from them. The students could not even carry the computer to school anymore. There was no connect. The schools are not even ready. When we went under lockdown, universities, and I'm talking of Unilag and co, they could not have lecture because there's no internet. Where there is that, there's no power. Yeah, I'm a reporter.
I quite understand your situation, but it's in the same Kaduna. Remember, in the same Kaduna with El Rufai, that they started radio programs to deliver lessons to school children. Please just mark my word that I said, for everything we needed, there was somebody somewhere. It was just, British Council did not give money at all. But British Council, through, I can find his name, the brother, he linked us with them, and Mrs. Ene rose up like that project was a project of the British Council. That is what I am saying. That where there are bottlenecks, there are people that we may find. Let me keep this optimism. You see this white hair, I'm an old man now, and I would rather prefer to die optimistic that things are possible. I do not have the energy. I am saying it again. I don't have the same kind of energy that Richard is putting into this. And I'm sure with this energy, with prayers from you, with the kind of encouragement, you remember the title of this thing was encouraging free speech, promoting the reading culture. You know, with the kind of things, you were not micromanaging anybody. You just said, hey, let's go on, and we did it. Egboto is here. He can also contribute. He knows that these things are possible there were always volunteers in our time. I don't know whether there is volunteer fatigue now, but let me be with my optimism, even if it doesn't work.
Oh, okay, I was just playing the reporter's role. In fact, the question I would like to put to Toyin Akinsho is that Toyin is a book club rat. And I know, I hope you understand what I'm saying. He goes to book club, but most of the time when we talk, even last night when I was with him, he was still telling me that he goes to book club. He worries about this book club, book trek, that the book should be a staple, should be in front and all of that. So now the kind of network that Richard, network for book clubs and reading promoters of Nigeria, you think it's viable, Mr. Akinsho, publisher, Africa Oil and Gas Report?
Good evening, everybody. I listened to Richard, the way Kole himself was sort of like eulogizing what Richard is doing. I mean, that kind of energy, you know, a lot of us have lost our reflexes. I've lost mine a great deal, and I say this all the time. But Richard actually was part of the inspiration for the Lagos Book and Art Festival, you know, and for him to have stayed this course, to keep insisting, it's very admirable. I wanted to ask him because, you know, he brought the idea of that, the whole idea of the economics of it into the front burner. What I'm interested in from him is, you know, how to, you know, book clubs are voluntary, you know, and they are, you know, a lot of them are, you know, there are a lot of us don't know the extent to which people actually subscribe to book clubs. You know, I belong to one of people who used to work for Chevron. I belong to one where I am the only person older than 45, you know, actually older than 40. And I'm very surprised at the kind of quality of the conversation of these people who we all keep on saying they didn't read history, they don't know, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I've been in places where a 27-year-old, you know, was telling me a whole lot of things about, I mean, apparently what he read, a whole lot of things about how the Biafra, who said what in some of those books, you know, that are written about Biafra. We were having a conversation around, you know, the whole, I mean, that meeting that held in Accra, I mean, that held in Ghana prior to the war, Aburi, you know, and so there's a lot of encouraging things, as Kole says. And, you know, I mean, Kole dropped the hint that radio program, you know, I myself, I was a little bit worried about what we could do in the North. And I'm happy that he dropped the bit about, you know, the fact that you could actually read people. You have to read those people who are, in a sense, ready. You know, what I want, rather than me answering any question, what I actually want Richard to tell us is, you know, to give us a clear line of sight, you know, between the book club, right, you know, and what he wants to do, and the marketplace. You know, that's very key, you know, because you, in the book club that I belong to, you vote, I mean, in the key one, the one that has a lot of these youngsters that I'm talking about, and we're currently reading The Beat Collector by Sefiata. I'm happy that they chose my favorite Nigerian novelist. But the point is that, you know, what we do after every reading, and it's every month, what we do after every reading is that we then vote for the next book, and then draw a list of bookshops where people can buy those books, you know. So in a sense, there's some kind of a line of sight to the market. But when you are looking at it as an agglomeration of book clubs, you know, how does Richard see that? You know, because it's a nice thing to say that we will contribute to the GDP, but I like to see whether we can do figures. You know, one of the things that I've learned from Richard, you know, which I use without mentioning his name, is the fact that we when we say Nigerians don't read, we talk out of ignorance. One thing he said he was doing around 1998 or 1999, and I don't know whether he was still doing it now, was I was collaborating with a bunch of academics. Academics who are working on the whole idea of um, determining via some kind of statistical, whatever, what percentage of Nigerians are reading and what are they reading. So he just don't go around talking, because most of the time, we just say, okay, well, they're not reading. Nobody comes to say, okay, in the way the Americans do the polls, that this, 20% of people living in Kaduna, read,
So book.
they read, magazines like Pulse, and 30% of them read newspapers like Vanguard and blah blah blah, and 10% read very hard, biographies, blah blah blah, and 2%. That's the kind of thing that we need to have. It's very important, and because he's here, and because he's that much of an intellectual, and because he still has that fire, I want him to provide here this evening a clear line of sight from the book club to the marketplace.
Okay. Thank you very much, Tony Akensho. This is Culture Train on Spirit of Nigeria Radio, where we bring the diaspora up to speed. We've been talking about reading culture, even though we also have a second segment which will be talking about our comrade that we lost in Nollywood. But we'll get back to that. I've appealed to Dr. SHAIBU HUSSEINI to just bear with us, because even those people who left will have been, they were part of what we're discussing now, and they will have been part of it if they're still. Yeah, Richard is going to answer that. Ambassador, I'll get back to you, sir. Please let Richard just respond to Tony Akensho. We have less than 12 minutes to do the next, because 30 minutes must be devoted to the second segment. So, Richard, Tony has thrown a ball in your court.
Thanks, Tony, Koye, and all the comments and contributions that have come in.
In fact, we have a lot in the chat room now.
Yeah, thank you very much. I will just straight away, we don't have all the time, so I'll just straight away get to it. I think two principal things I would say here. One is that you are spot on about, the pace of statistics and data in terms of trying to, design and have pathways, in this narrative. And I think it is something that we have already begun to work on in a resurgent form. I know that about a year ago, we had reached out to a market research organization, because by the time we checked the scope of the work, a market research organization, and asked them, hey, this is what we want to do. We want to determine and gauge, reading patterns and reading trends in the country. Can we walk around a questionnaire? Can we walk around a framework? And they said to us that, hey, if you want to do this, it's going to cost you some money, and you've got to be able to be ready, for it. So we asked for a vague idea of what they were thinking about in terms of cost. And we said, you know what, we're going to hold it a while, build some more capacity, and return to the discussion. Now, the reason why it's important to raise this is because there's also another project that we have been engaged in. I was personally involved
when
with.
You say we, network, the network.
No, that's why I'm breaking it now.
Oh, okay.
I was personally involved with the Booksellers Association of Nigeria. In the past 1 to 3 years, they've been trying to do an audit of how many booksellers they can find across the country. And so we worked on the Nigerian Booksellers Directory 2021, which was presented, last month at the Nigerian International Book Fair. And we got close to 4,000 bookshops,
wow,
in the country.
In Nigeria.
In Nigeria.
We can't talk of 10 in Lagos.
No, close to 4,000 bookshops. Now, of different grades, different states, different situations. And there are more that we could not add because, we took a decision and said, we're not going to add stationery shops as bookshops, in that sense, because you also know that, there are categories and all that. But in the directory that is already published, we have about close to 4,000, bookshops that are listed. Incidentally, about 12 years ago, there was a previous attempt, and they got about 3,400 500 bookshops, from that, survey. So within that frame, it is doable that we can get data and statistics about the industry and the patterns within the ecosystem. The second point which I want to just mention is that just as we're talking about some passion and enthusiasm, for within our own generational, scope, I can also say that this passion and enthusiasm is, in a sense, countrywide. We would really be surprised. By the time we finish some of the work we are doing now, this nation will be surprised by how much reading energy, is going on that has not been fully captured or accounted for. Let me just state that in talking with a number of new entrants into the network just in the past few days, few weeks, we have found out that their capacities, one person said to me, he said, you know what, I've kept this dream for about 5 running on 10 years. I didn't just know how to begin. He said, but in talking with you guys, it has just opened and I'm going to get started. So you have people who are carrying burdens of how to help small communities that they are associated with. This guy says, look, I go to schools, I donate books, I go to them, I do reading sessions for them, but I've not been able to do it in a systematic manner. He said, with the peer review mechanism that the network has, I know that I'll be more accountable. So what I'm going to do after now is that I'm going to find and pay for a permanent staff who would run the book club for me. Now, this is the patron of a book organization who says, look, he says, I've already rented space for this book club to run, but I don't even have, I didn't know how to go about it. So we're actually in the process of setting up a training school. We're going to do Zoom training sessions for people who want to start new book clubs. Those who have already started, how do you get more effectiveness out of it? And as a network, we are not going to run a book club for all Nigerians. We are going to aggregate the book clubs that are being set up, and we are going to ensure that we help as much as possible to raise the bar, in terms of training, in terms of networking, in terms of, responses and reflexes, and then bringing it to the market. The truth about it is that if you have today, 5 million random readers, who go to the bookshop and buy a book once in a year or once in 2 years. By the time they aggregate in book clubs where they are reading common interest books, what you find now is that just like book club A is reading Sefiata, if they have 20 members, let's say 5 members buy the book. Book club B is reading Chimamanda. If they have 30 members, let's say 5 members buy the book. Increasingly, you are going to have people returning to what used to happen in the past, where university students used to keep money to buy The Guardian on Saturday, or buy Newswatch magazine, or any of the other publications, or even before then, when Nigeria had 500,000 copies of Daily Times being sold on the newsstands on Sunday. So the truth about it is that we have not given it that priority because we have not taken that level of engagement. What we have done is to say, you know what we want to do? We want to open this out. Government has not done it for us. We are going to do it. And at the end of the day, when government comes knocking and says, hey, you guys are doing a whole lot of work, where are our taxes? We are going to now have a discussion with them and say, what did you contribute to the taxes you want to take?
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to appeal. I told Richard that because they have the UYO conference of the network that is coming up on the 15th. And I said the weekend before then, we're going to have a full session on promoting reading culture. Please, I'm appealing to Dr. Ade Oditola, Italiano, will be sending a lot of messages, Dr. SHAIBU, everybody who is there, Ambassador Lukoni, we all come back and really talk about reading culture. Because Ambassador said a lot of things before some of us joined, because we had problem with the Zoom at the beginning. But I want to leave the last word to him. I know we have not exhausted this, but when we're coming back, Dr. Ade Oditola, I would like you to share the
proceedings.
The proceeding before we come for the next session, which will be around September 14. I can't check now, but it will be the weekend before the UYO, because the UYO one promises to be a very big one. I have to take Dr. SHAIBU HUSSEINI at exactly 7:30. We've taken 30 minutes already from him. But Ambassador, you had your hand up. So, because you were talking about the economy of it all, and so we can listen to that. And then SHAIBU, please don't go when SHAIBU reflecting on our departed colleagues. Ambassador, please.
Well, thank you very much. I know time is not our friend on this. I will be very brief. I think the first point I would like to make is that we have to be very innovative as far as this approach in terms of the book club, encouraging people to read is very important. We have to be very innovative. The reality of our existence now, the new digital ecosystem, let us see how we can take advantage of that. Dr. Olaotan is here with me. I remember when I was High Commissioner in Australia, a university in Wellington had organized an event. It was a virtual meeting. I'm talking about 2012, 2013. Please remind me and call it. Tunde Kidani was part of it. I was based in Canberra as High Commissioner, and I think Haynes, maybe from New York, and then of course, the quality was also part of it. That was way back, I'm talking about 7, 8 years ago, before we all dreamt, before the whole question of dreaming, because of the whole issue of where we are today is happening. So, Rashid, what I would say is that let us be very innovative as far as this is concerned, in terms of the question of promoting this new blog. We cannot, even as Maduguri, I've just finished reading Madagali, as it is now, it is possible for us to be able to get maybe online book club or to generate interest of people. Even if it is the 10 people or 5 people. What I'm saying is that let us be very innovative on this. And then I would like to say this before I leave, finally. UNCTAD has a very active area, is very active in the area of cultural productivity and economics. And we were in Brussels 2003 at a youth forum event as part of an UNCTAD event in terms of what's supposed to be done at that particular period in the creativity sector. And I remember vividly, Ralph Henry, who was a professor in the University of West Indies, was giving us an example of how the entire world was dancing to the beat of a small place. The entire world dancing to the beat of a small place. The beat being reggae, the small place being Jamaica. Talking about how Bob Marley took reggae, and that there is Jampro. Jampro is the Jamaica export promotion outfit. That if Bob Marley had gone to Jampro, they say, I have this product which can go the entire world and become multi-billion dollar. Nobody will answer him. But eventually he persisted and the entire world started dancing to the beat of a small place. That is the whole question of imagination and what can be done. And that's why I want to salute those of you who are here, publisher, colleague, your experiences in the past, we will be able to work on it and move forward in terms of the world. But let us also remember that the possibility and the potentials of using the new digital ecosystem, which we find ourselves, to promote the idea of reading culture, book culture, connecting the figures as far as the people who put the Fela musical on Broadway. I met them in New York. I saw the musical twice, off Broadway and on way. And when I asked them, why are you not even? He said, look, we found an international cultural product in the international environment. The book, this beach of a place, we grabbed it and turned it into a multi-billion-dollar money spinning event. We had to practically beg them to bring the Fela musical to Lagos. And they said, no, it's not commercial because we are making our money on the international scene. So what do you want to come and do with you? The only people you people do in Nigeria just talk. But I said, people like you have shown that we just don't only talk, we also act as well. So please let us be very imaginative in terms of driving this new process. And it's good to see publisher and everybody calling, once again.
The usual suspects, but it's good. It's a very small circuit. So as I'm saying, we'll be bringing everybody back. Please just bear with me. I'll get you the date before we leave, but I don't want you to leave now because I'm sure that there's none of us here who does not know Racheal Oniga. There's none of us there who does not know Victor Olaoye. In fact, Mr. Akinsho was telling me quite a lot of story about Victor Olaoye. And then Ifeanyi Dike, who was actually part of the old Nollywood story, but then the administrator, actor, and the rest of them. Please, we just want to spend the next 30 minutes to do tribute to them. But my studio engineer, Dayo, has said that we can actually extend by 15 minutes. So we may still have time to do a wrap on this. Dr. SHAIBU Husseini, you have done interview with virtually all of them. May you not be interviewing those who are dead, but you have done a lot of interviews on all of these people. I want you to speak to the experiences of these three people. We're not mourning, actually. I think we should celebrate artists' life. So what will you say about these our comrades that we have lost, and what does it portend for the institution of Nollywood itself?
All right. First of all, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity, and I'd like to also say that I gained a lot listening to the last conversation. And I like the part where Kole Odutola said that when they contacted you for help, you sent a certain live wala and said, just follow those people and do whatever they want you to do and all that. And that was exactly what happened to me when I came to the Guardian at that time. And you just say, look, you are a dancer already, I know. You are an actor already, I know. But follow these Nollywood people. Follow them, and then you were able to follow them, keep a tab on them. And I remember it was even at the time when you were editor that I spoke to Racheal Oniga. I spoke to her on a movie location. And I make a confession here that for the first time I was interviewing a celebrity, and she was sobbing and I had to sob. Because that was the time when it was difficult for her to raise her kids, and because she had just left her husband. They were separated. It was difficult to raise her kids, and the jobs she was getting at that time were not jobs that were paying. Like they were doing her a favor or something. You know, sometimes they would not even pay her and all that. So when I met her and I said, what are the gains and the pains of the profession? That was the question I asked. And she remembered, okay, the gain is that when you go around, people will look at you, oh, that's that wicked woman in the movie, that's that. But the pain is that that sometimes they walk hungry and there's nothing in their stomach, but they have to put up a cheerful face, they have to look good, you know, and all that, so that people can. But somehow her career swivel chair turned around. And I think some people who appreciated her talent now were able to, look beyond using her like a mom and all that, like an extra. They started looking at her like somebody that has a lot to offer. And then it changed, and then she joined like something like the B class. If you had an A class in Nollywood, which is usually for the golden boys and golden girls, she belonged to that B class in Nollywood. We were earning some money and all that, you know. So things moved on for her, and she was doing very well, and got to like a point where she was appearing in several movies. Even when we moved to cinema movies, what we call cinema movies, she also, you know, got roles there. So things were picking up for her until she took ill. But I also know that at the time she started her career, she was ill. She had diabetes and all the other ones, but she was able to manage it, but eventually she couldn't manage it. Eventually she took ill like a week, but she was still working. In fact, presently now, they said she was before she died. They are looking for a body double for her because she had done like 70% of principal photography before she died. So now they are looking for a body double to complete the production. So she died actively, like what we say in public service. She died like on active service, so to speak, you know, until she breathed her last. She was on a location. She only just didn't go on the day she was supposed to be on location because she complained to the director that she was tired. For Victor Olaotan, his own was a very painful one because he was coming back from a set and had an accident in 2019 on Oshodi Apapa Expressway. In fact, it was some people who could recognize his beard that he kept. You know, he had this special beard that saw the accident scene and said, this is the man in T-cell. And that's how the police came. They found his phone. They called his wife because the last person on the call log was the wife. He told the wife that I'm on my way home. And they called the wife and then took him to the hospital. but he has been bedridden since 2019. His colleagues on Team Cell, they rally around him. Somebody like Benga, rally around him. And then Richard Mammah too was not his colleague, but they had done something together. Was able to get the billionaire Michael Otedola to assist him. They took him to Turkey, but they actually did not do due diligence, because what the billionaire provided and what they raised in GoFundMe was not enough to keep him in Turkey. It was enough to take care of the first procedure, but it was not enough to take care of the other procedures. So at a point, the wife was crying out and saying, hey, that they're asking me to come and just take him away, or they will do something else and all those stuff. Anyway, he eventually passed on. I mean, it was just like nobody wished anyone death, but his situation was very pathetic. He has lost his frame, he has lost his limbs and all that. So even if he had gotten back, it would have been difficult for him to get back on set. And then while we were just coming back from the burial ceremony of Racheal Oniga, because it happened on Friday, then we heard the news of Olaotan that he has passed on. Then the big one, Ifeanyi Dike. Ifeanyi is one of those foundational members of Nollywood. In fact, he started the Actors Guild of Nigeria. He became their interim president, later became president, and then he now graduated becoming the chairman of the board of trustees of the Actors Guild of Nigeria. He was a television person because he had a program he was presenting on NT at that time, but he was also a very good actor and producer. Ifeanyi's case too was almost like that of Olaotan, because he had a major operation in 2018 in India. He had kidney issues, had that operation in India. It was successful. When he came back, he relapsed. And through the help of the former governor of Lagos State, Babatunde Raji Fashola, he was able to go back to India in 2019 for a second surgery. He did that successfully, came back. He was moving around, he was doing everything, but he took ill a week ago, and that's how we lost him. So we have lost 3 important members of the Nollywood family, Movie Don family. But like you noted, I mean, these people have done their best. They have contributed their quota. Olaotan as a fantastic actor, Racheal Oniga, super actress, and then Ifeanyi Dike, actor and administrator. So we will miss them, but I mean, they have to go. I mean,
thank you very much, SHAIBU. I would like everybody to contribute to this. Unfortunately, I don't know, this should not be done. By my training in the newsroom, you don't break this kind of news, but it's spreading everywhere. Victor Wifo just died.
Wow.
I just got the email. I saw it on about 3 news, and I was wondering what is going on. Now everybody is spreading it everywhere, and wow. Everybody, in fact, I have about 5 minutes to say, all the news line have been, they spread it now. Or even all the major ones are already spreading it.
This is a huge loss.
Can you imagine in the middle of discussing about that?
When you say all the news lines, I mean these are WhatsApp platforms, or these are valid.
News line.
Premium Times,
News Guru, CKN, Cable, Premium Times.
Okay, Cable.
All of them. Even Arise have broken it.
Okay.
Well, I'll still as we go on. Yeah.
This was a week. This was a week in which Professor Grillo also left.
Left. Yes. You see,
it's a very dark week for.
Yes. Anyway, get back to something fundamental that is common to all the story. Dr. Adeotola, I'll get to you. Is the question of the fact that those 3 people that we have spotlighted died because of illnesses that could not be treated, that they couldn't raise money, they were sick. And there was a time, Kole Adeotola, he doesn't like claiming the credit, but I always like to give it to him. There was a time the idea of CONA, Coalition of Nigerian Artists, came up. And one of the 3, I think it was WET, Welfare,
Exchange and Training.
And Training, WET, W-E-T. And we are still battling that up to today. That thing is not, there's no welfare program. The training is not, that one's even gone bonkers, except you train in the university. welfare. There is no money. In fact, today I sat with Toyin and Kesho, and we're looking at people who are going to be 80 next, and we're counting about 5 of them that are derelict in health. They are at the verge of going out, and I can mention them. Well, maybe it's not in the today. Now I'm scared of mentioning them.
No, don't mention them. Don't mention
it. Okay, so that I'm not tagged. So, how do we relate to this in terms of the welfare that is available for artists? And Ambassador, this also concerns you too, because you're always talking about how to provide some kind of leeway for artists, some kind of resources that can keep the artists working, that can keep them healthy, so they don't succumb to this one. Every time Olaotan, they were looking for money to raise for him. Ifeanyi Dike, up till about 4 days ago, they were still publishing that they needed to raise money for him. Racheal Oniga was sick, everybody, Richard too had left. So how do we relate? Do I give this first to Dr. Kole Adeoritola? What do you think?
I certainly know that we need. I mean, you know, if we had started at the time Kole was raising it before Odia chased all of us away. No, because we need to name names, really. Before Odia said it was rubbish that Kona was and all that, and then Kole himself was afraid and ran away. The thing is, we probably might have raised ₦1 billion or $1 billion, or we might also not have raised. So, in response, what I want Kole to help us with is what kind of structure could be in place, because that is always a Nigerian challenge. You know, Richard Mammah looks to me, you know, next to Ambassador, someone who, you know, can understand some of those dynamics. You know, because people will start now fighting about how much is in the purse, and everybody will be saying, okay, I have a leg problem, you should treat me first. I mean, all of those things I don't mind if we trash it here, you know, really.
German.
Over to college.
Well, German.
Yes. Somebody.
I wanted to.
Oh,
yes,
SHAIBU,
I wanted to quickly intervene before Uncle Kole talks here. I wanted to quickly intervene and said the problem I think we have with this trying to put up a structure, the problem I have with these health issues and trying to raise funds for artists who need help is because it's the lack of a structure to do it. And even if you put these structures down, the way these artists work, like they work like, you know, it's when the job comes. And when you tell them that they need to pay themselves, they need to pay some level of premium, you know, to maybe an insurance scheme, a health insurance scheme. There are these guys who just do one job and they finish the money there, and then the hope of getting another job, it's not there, you know. So I think if we had an equity system, like if we had started this a long time ago, and we had an equity system where we contribute, artists contribute to the fund, we get corporate Nigeria to contribute to the fund, then we get government to contribute to the fund, it will be easy for us to access these funds when we get into this kind of problem. But you find out that NANTAP, all the professional associations, even AGN, they have done all forms of insurance policies. But at the end of the day, they pack up because the artists themselves will tell you that they have not even eaten. You are telling them to go and pay premium to an insurance company and the rest. So it's really a problem. If we had an equity system where whether you work, whether you do any work or not, you get paid somehow, or you are able to get some money from them like license fees, and you pay into a pool of funds, it will be able to help them at the end of the day. Nearly all these guys, I mean, the other day, there's a producer who died. He was on Rick. Rick is a popular actor. In fact, one of the guys who acts this, what do they call them? He acts like, he does a lot of lover boy roles and the rest. He was on the bed. They said that they were going to discharge him, that he couldn't pay as little as 200K. And he was on the bed calling. And the comments people were making was that, not be you, they drive flashy cars inside film. Not be you, they do all this. So you mean that you don't have like an insurance or something like that?
Imagine that.
Okay, Shaib, let me quickly come in because I know time is of the essence. And there are two things I want to say very quickly. Guardian staff, right? The big boys that were in Guardian, they've set up a fund, right, in which somebody just got 500,000 naira And that is how they have been. Somebody got 1.something million from just Guardian staff. So there is a possibility it could have worked if I was a Richard. Tony said I ran away. He did not lie. I don't have this kind of stomach that German has. I couldn't take it because where the quarters was coming from was too hot. But that's, maybe at another day, we probably will trash this out. We'll talk about the structure. What I wanted to talk about was Richard Oniga. I was assistant director with Tade Ogidon on Owoblo. Racheal Oniga was working as an assistant to Kemi Akoni. She was supposed to be in costumes and makeup. Kemi Akoni was the big name in costumes and makeup. An artist that was penned down to play the role of the mother of the children did not show up. And we were at a loss that day, and Tade looked and said, look, she said in a very gentle voice, Oga Tade, I can do this thing now, try me.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tade, being a former NTA person and had known Racheal from NTA, gave that chance. Her claim to fame was that Owoblo, that is titled Owoblo, should actually have been Owekun. Not that anybody considered it, because she shed tears in nearly every scene she was involved in. And she was typecast because it was very believable. And a lot of people gave her the chance thereafter. But when I now read her tribute, it looked like she had actually done some things before that was unknown to Tade. You know? And one day, the blow-by-blow of Owoblo story will be told, of a place in which, with Aderoju Adepoju and myself, were the primary motivators, and all I got from that project was 20,000 naira in those days. But that's a story for another day.
You have to rub it in.
I had to rub it in. See, German, you know where I'm coming from.
I know where you're coming from.
And Richard Lang, I was far away in Germany when Richard Lang was pushing to make sure that that thing got up. When Wale Fanu got on that thing that day, not even one sentence was attributed to Kole Odutola for what he did. But hey, this is in memory of Racheal Oniga.
Okay. Thank
How
you very
much,
much.
you know, and the role she played. So that let the stories be told. Some of this part I've told you, you probably might not hear it from anywhere. And I may God grant her peace and may she find repose. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think the story that you were trying to tell will be told someday. You know, I mentioned my conversation with Tony Akinsho this morning. What we were saying was the fact that the society itself, because my argument was that all these people who will be 18 next year, say I should not mention their name, they all came back on a certain promise. Festac told them, look, we're hosting the entire world. I mean, the world will be so good. I mean, after Nigeria will have done that, because Senegal did it in 1966, they didn't milk it. Then Nigeria took it up. And we're spending so much money, we're building facilities and go. So many of them came back on a promise that culture from that moment on will blossom and that they can feed, they'll be comfortable as artists. But then they got here. Tony's argument I understood this morning when he said that, look, you ought to have also planned your trajectory. You should plan your route. Now, okay,
Yes.
Yeah, you should set some things for yourself, which was not possible. I don't know how this system makes people work. But I'm also saying that this is a system that also makes sure that you don't fulfill your destiny. The system kills you before you come in. I mean, I'm not supposed to be offering an opinion, but that's just my point. To what extent do we think that society failed them? Because SHAIBU mentioned the question of the insurance company that will start the process. I just got an alert now that I have not paid for my own insurance, 10,000. I'll pay it today. They just sent me an alert. Okay. The endowment fund was supposed to also have a provision for the endowment fund. Part of the endowment fund objective is actually to provide some seed fund for this kind of problem, so that when it happens, you get some money. And We're drafting our own after the American system. The American system today, if you have a problem as an artist, you get some money. It may not be enough, but there's a health insurance that is built into the endowment fund. How come that we don't have an endowment fund? The cultural policy is not working. The so-called training academy has never worked. How come? Is it not the system or is it the people?
Well, we identified this thing as far back as 30 years ago. Forget government. Richard himself told us this evening here. He said, after all of that route from the book reading to the marketplace is done, government will ask for taxes. We will have a conversation. So let us do the job first.
They want to
Let
collect
us
tax.
the guys in the group that Koleo is talking about, who we actually include. We need to be very clear. I mean, this group that is talking about include some retired guy who used to work, some guy who still works for Total, a very big French major, some guy who was a senator, and they put together this stupendous amount of money. So the idea is that before we even begin to approach the NIHS or whoever or any of the health, whatever, we need to raise significant amount of money. Even when you have, because it's very important that even when you have some money, health challenges can mess you up. Look, I go to hospitals free because I work in some multinational. But there are some that Chevron itself won't pay for it. They will say, they will tell you, those doctors and co. It's very funny. Doctors become businessmen. They will say, okay, Mr. Akinsho, when we do your teeth extraction, Chevron will pay. But when you are polishing your teeth, Chevron won't pay. When we have to cap your teeth, blah, 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 Chevron will not do this. When you have to do blah, blah, blah for you, Chevron will pay 1/4. So, I mean, even when I spend, even when I'm supposed to be some kind of a funny, fortunate guy so the thing is that you need stupendous amount of money in that reserve, but we can raise it. Let us raise some money first before we even call anybody, so that it doesn't, what SHAIBU is saying will not happen. We won't get to a point where, it is because the artist is saying no. We will have, because in the case of the Guardian thing that Kole is talking about, those people who are being given money never put money there. I mean, some of the people who had a stroke, some of the people who are, none of their own contributions are in that money. If less than 10 people put more than 20 million naira together in the space of a week, and it is possible. We can look for people and raise something and have some kind of capital, and then we can even engage banks as investment and say blah blah blah, get to a point before we now say this thing is for artists. Do you understand? That way, it will be something that is appealing to the artists themselves to pay into. Nigerians like freebies. You understand? They like things that are easy to join. So let's work from the context of the Nigerian situation. That is what the flagship, when the flagship led group, that's what they did essentially. And I'm sure we can have this conversation offline, and I would be happy that someone like Kole, lead the thing, and our brain will be a guy like Richard who understands, that sort of thing. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, if I was going to get Ambassador to respond, because he's in the business, so how do they do it in business? But I think he has taken his exam. Maybe he just dropped off. I'm checking so I can bring him back in. Oluwatola Abolale, do you want to contribute before I bring Richard in? No, you are listening. Okay. Oga SHAIBU, Dr. SHAIBU HUSSEINI.
I'm with you, sir. I'm with you. I'm here.
Yeah. You know, you were talking about the okay, Ambassador is back. You were talking about what Nantab tried to do. I don't know what Anna had tried to do, but that thing it collapsed. Is it just a factor of the fact that the artists were not willing to pay the money, or the fact that the thing was not properly structured? You know, it's possible that it was not properly marketed or structured. I know I got all those a lot too, and yeah, go on.
Yeah, they had an agreement with an insurance company.
Okay.
Health cover, and all you needed to pay for the whole year to have your, covered in any hospital you want to attend under that HMO was about 200,000 naira at the end of the day. But Bonjaman, you will agree with me that, especially for stage performances, how many do we have in a year? So how will the guy be able to pay the premium? So it was possible that if Nantab even decided to say, okay, we're going to charge so and so registration fee, and from the registration fee we can be paying the premium. How many people pay registration fees in associations and all that? So you don't find out that we go to the insurance company and tell them we have so number of artists in the country. Once you come in, you give us some products, we are able to get all 5,000 people. For example, we're going to get all 5 million people enrolled and all that. They do the calculation and know that, hey, for 5 million, if everybody pays his premium of 100,000 naira, they can be able to take care of those, because not everybody will go to the hospital at the same time, but they don't pay the premium. I know that one for sure. There is no association now. AGN set up a fund, a medical fund. They even got some monies donated by some senators and the rest of them. There's a dispute there now over management of the money and all that. That's why I was asking who will manage the funds, which structure. Even if at that time Kona had set up that fund, by now you will know what will happen.
We were not trying to set up funds. It was not about funds.
I said even if Kona had set up.
Yes, I'm saying that even it was not part of the plan. What was part of the plan was that NMA.
I was not saying it was the plan. I said even if you had a well-structured body like Kona at that time, set up a fund, you will discover that the same people who were fighting, who were telling Kona that Kona was not well-structured or whatever. We make sure that the thing does not work. So it's usually a problem of the artists
of the
not
artists
meeting
themselves.
their own. Yes, the artists not meeting their own side of the bargain. That's what I'm saying. I didn't say it was for.
I hear you, Hussein. Yes, this is a very I'm not sure whether you know about how touchy this thing is. It's a very touchy thing. Even after years, one gets very passionate about it. Let me give you another model, right? The model was not supposed to be funding or structure. Sorry, Ambassador, I'm sorry, please. This is not, it was supposed to be that at the beginning of the year, right? The artist body will put up a big show. Everybody would volunteer. Whatever money was made will be given to Nigerian Medical Association, and they would carry out vitals. This is not, it was just, they carry out vitals, they check as many artists as come for that production and the week after. And they would now have a list and a record. Those that have high cholesterol, those that are prone to hypertension, at least you know that out of 5,000 artists, most times it won't be more than 250 that will need critical attention. That was the original plan, my brother. I know what you're saying. There are various models. We were working, if you remember, I had just left working for an NGO. I had worked at the NGO to the level of the Pan-African NGO. I had seen what they were doing. I had almost gone to the Commonwealth Foundation for the umbrella organization of NGOs. And I knew that it was possible that instead of money, we could do social capital. Let me leave it at that. Maybe some other day. Look, time has over, it's all gone now. I'm not sure any of these, but these ideas are so obsolete now.
I assure you that we're going to have a special session on the artist welfare. Now that we're really none of this.
It's important. It's important.
It's very, very important. Now,
I didn't even know this was the, because it was you and Kole that were always entering the room and going out. Well, this level of detail, I didn't have I remember I was shut out of you will use my computer to print the newsletters, but I wouldn't even know what you are doing precisely.
We thought we were going to make money behind you. You're a big man. You're working in Chevron in those days. You didn't need that money.
Anyway,
Yeah,
don't worry.
Ambassador Richard, before you even came back in, I'd mentioned that I would have loved to listen to your business idea, but because Tony Agencho said that it is possible for the artists to organize themselves and raise huge sum of money, just like the idea that Dr. Adeodutola just threw out. Now the artists do a show, and the money from there is given to the NMA that, look, take this as our insurance for when any of us have, and it's not possible for 250 people to have critical health challenges at the same time. So, Ambassador, would like to listen to you. Richard, I'm going to ask you about what's happening to the writers. It seems that they have a lot of money. Go on, Ambassador.
Thank you. Let me start by taking it from where Kole stopped. And this is my suggestion, and I'll share my experience, that we have a lot of experience. Effort has been made. Can we look back and see why those things failed and what should we do now? From those experiences, don't let us give it up. Kole has made a lot of contribution. Hussein has also spoken about it. How did we fail? How did it fail? Why did this endowment fund? What are these welfare issues? Why, how, and what can be done? So that in our next discussion, we will have something to say, to learn from. This is what we should do now. Now, let me. That is my summary of mine. But let me share experience with you, so that one, most of these artists, I'm sure many of us know the song, Ori mi wo elagimo, Cobhams, which was talking about, I'm a big star now. Please God, just beat me so that I don't go and use the money to buy a ghost, Rolls Royce, and then something. So a lot of them, that is part and parcel of the problem in terms of many of these artists themselves knowing what is supposed to be done and getting ready for the rainy day. I sat in New York twice in the permission. When I went back to New York 2000, I would never forget the event. I lived in the Nigerian house. That same day, very, very funny, Majek was crossing the street to the Nigerian house. Late Majek was crossing the street to the Nigerian house. By that time, he was struggling with drugs. Subsequently, I also worked closely with what's his name? This artist, what's his name now, who died way back, the reggae artist. It was also
Raskimono.
Coming back.
Raskimono.
Raskimono.
Yeah, Raskimono. I also worked closely with Kim. I was a middle-level Nigerian diplomat in New York. Myself and Yinka Adiemi. And we supported him to continue to play at Lion's Den in the village. I'm not being boastful. Part of my FSA is what we use to pay artists and others. When we finish at the Lion's Den at weekend, you say, Ogayo, look, now only $300 now we make. I say, Akim, okay, $300, no worry.
Hello, sir.
Make you take
able to join Zoom, sorry.
Hello?
Oh,
are you still with me?
Go on, sir. Go on,
Yes.
sir. Go on, sir.
We can hear you, sir.
So I'm saying that this was a practical example of what I had, my experience with Kimono when I was in New York. I was a Nigerian diplomat, of course, very, very much involved with all of the artists who are in and around New York. Raskimono, the Ligadu sister, as well as what's his name, Late Majek. And like I said, we contribute money for Majek to be able to play, for Kim to play at Lion's Den in the village. And then when we come, then we said, how much did we make? Then it may be about, after paying artists, everything, and then we only there with maybe $200 or $300. And I said, okay, let us try and put something down as far as this is concerned in respect of the things in them. But the point I'm making is that, one, a lot of these artists themselves and others needs to be properly educated as far as these issues themselves are concerned, and let them know that it is for their own good at the end of the day. And I think like Publisher said, I think let us leave government for now and try and see what can be done on our part with those artists that even if it is going to be 20,000 naira, you will use to make contribution. But like I said, I think Collier said it, with a lot of lessons to learn from. Let us come out with a briefing note or maybe a small little proposal in terms of these things and what can be done. And they need today that, look, listen, one record that makes you a big artist or 2 or 3 productions make you a millionaire at that particular period. Don't forget that at the end of the day, there's always sunset. And I think they need to learn as far as this is concerned so that they can be educated. I'm sorry to say I mentioned the late Y.S. Akinibosu. I was broken when I discovered that Y.S. and Akinibosu, fella's alto sax player, ended up at 82, Ojuelegba Road, repairing sax. And when he got ill, we had to be running around. Remember the day I went to military hospital to bring him out. But this is not good enough. Let us put in place proper structures, learn from it, and then we can see what can be done. So this is my small little contribution, on this. And thank you. And I think we need to be very touch on it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ambassador. Some people are trying to call us from off the Zoom, but we can't seem to. Daily Morakia is one of them. Hopefully, we'll still get to him. That's why I'm off camera. Dr. Itayo, because you are in Canada now. How does the insurance? How does it work in that end? Hello.
Hello, I can hear you.
Yes, and you're a reporter here. I'm sure you cover many of those people you saw through.
Oh my God, I covered all of them.
Yeah.
SHAIBU can bear me witness. And even me and Dr. Kole, we used to joke about those days with his camera.
So, how do you think we can navigate this? I mean, there are ideas on the table now.
Yeah, so many ideas on the table, and all I can contribute is all the ideas are good. Around here, if you ask me how it works, is that there is no separation between all citizens. There is a centralized insurance for all citizens. Now, in terms of artists, there is an arts collective in Canada that even got so much money from the government during the pandemic, where artists can draw from, because either you like it or not, artists suffered double. It was a case of double pandemic. They suffered the actual pandemic itself, and then they suffered a loss of job because nobody was going to theaters, nobody was going to the cinemas. And so the government had to create a specialized endowment that artists can draw from to make up for the loss of income. However, that is just to supplement what they already have as citizens in terms of healthcare, in terms of employment insurance, in terms of all that kinds of welfare packages that are there. So to cut a long story short, all I can say is we cannot in any way subtract or take the artist away from the environment that they live, which is Nigeria itself, unless Nigeria addresses the problem of its citizens. Sadly, these are the issues that we keep returning to. And I share Dr. Kole's optimism. We will get there someday. We just need to keep plugging. We need to keep talking. We need to not tire out. That's why Richard's passion. Oga Mammah, salutations. I talk a lot for you. That's why that passion, you have re-inspired me, and surely we will take this conversation further. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Olo. Now, Richard, the writers, they don't seem to have any problem. Because we're talking of actors and visual artists, the actors don't have a problem. The writers, are they making so much money from writing books? Well, my question is there any kind of, Anna has been there before virtually everybody. Is there some plan on grant in Anna? Because I'll be surprised if Anna at 50 something, right? Is there a plan?
Okay. The writers, the truth about it is that you get up to a point where you are not talking not because you don't have something to say, but rather because you have spoken yourself out. The writers need all the support they can get because writers are expected to earn from royalties. But you now have a situation where the majority of published writers in the creative writing stream, which is where Anna draws the core of his members from, are self-published, which then means that they combine several roles and they, in that situation, do not get predictable revenue, predictable income, you know, in the form of royalties. So that is an issue. And I think Eitayo touched on the point, and I think one or two other, Tony also. I think what we need is a case-specific arrangement. We can't have the textbook arrangement work in this situation. I think what we need, for example, when someone says we want X amount of premium to be paid across the board by every contributor, it may not work. It may not work because contributors, you know, we're talking about categories, even in Nollywood. If you come to the writers themselves, you also have, you know, writers who earn more than others. So I think it's going to have to be some kind of system that takes into consideration the different categories and get a baseline, but have a graduated system of inputs, you know, to each according to his need, from each according to his abilities, you know, kind of contributory model. Have governance models that would ensure probity, transparency in a better, you know, framework, but also have something, as Tony said, that would start from the industry. Because when you build up to a certain point, you know, and say, for example, internally we have contributed, there's a 2 million naira, and it's warehoused, you know, in a proper structured system. We can now negotiate with other, you know, potential supporters. We can talk in terms of revolving the funds. We can talk about investment. You would not answer all the problems of the people, but you can now say, okay, if we have 2 million, we are not going to spend more than 20% in terms of payouts in a given year, so that we continue building seed capital, you know, while it keeps growing. With that amount of discipline, I think it will be easier to negotiate the rest.
Okay. Well, Dr. Okoli Adeodutola, Dele Moraki was trying to come in, but you can make your contribution now, and then I will get to him.
What I just want to say is, I wish I could do what I want to say now, but I don't have the gravitas. And I would appeal to everybody here, and I would supply the contact. Her name is Dr. Fumi Adewara. She's an award-winning entrepreneur. I would supply her contact, and I would urge people of note like Ambassador Ayo to approach her to come to a program like this with $15, 15 pounds. What she does is telemedicine. And all you need to do is to have a computer or a phone, and they will be able to, right? They have doctors spread all over the world and all over Nigeria. I wish I had what it would take to pull her to a program like this and place before her. No, but those of you who have the name, if you can approach her, get her to a program like this, let us state the case and see how many Nigerian artists can download the app for Mobitel, and then with her, work on what is the minimum that can be paid so that X number of artists can be, they can have access. They don't have to leave their homes. Right on their phone there will be a doctor that will be talking to them. I have all the contacts. Okay. But what I do not have is that, what Gani will call the local standing, to be able to convince her to come and listen to this, and then you place before her, and then she can tell you what is possible.
Okay. I can tell you that Culture Train will work with some of the people here. Dr. SHAIBU HUSSEINI, I know he's very functional in Nantap, in Gon. In fact, he crosses across board, and we will approach Nasima too, and anybody who wants to join so that we can bring. I remember there was a story you did on the woman, And I was, I mean, it really read very credible, and we should bring her if she can offer that. And the Spirit of Nigeria Radio also had a very good health program where she can also appear and she can offer a suggestion too. Dele Moraki has been trying to reach me, but every time I try to call him, the line keeps on cutting off the Nigerian style. Well, we've taken 16 minutes into this program. The next program is suffering, but I know that my executive producer, Toya Arulogun, doesn't mind what is going on. As a matter of fact, he's doing a program on suicide. I think that they're doing a conference around this mental illness and suicide this coming week. I can't get to the poster now. So it's very concerned about it. So it will be very good to spread the program even beyond Culture Train into other programs that Spirit of Nigeria Radio does. And we have people outside of here who are also helping. I remember when the case of one of us, Abiodun Aleja, when he came up, it was from this program that they were able to raise some fund through some Nigerians who were listening in diaspora. Unfortunately, we still lost him. But I'm thanking all of you. Now, let me see if I can get Dele, because he's really frantic about participating, but it's not on Zoom. Unfortunately, so let me try again and see whether I can get him now to join us. Anybody want to volunteer for the scheme that Dr. Adi Udutola just mentioned? Can just tell us now. And SHAIBU Senegal reminded me that Anna too had their own problem. I sent Obunse.
Yeah.
Had problem. Yeah. I remember people like Austin Njoku too. They had all you know. This thing is just everywhere. But I'm also wrapping around my head. Where in a place where you have medical doctors are on strike, one minister comes on stage and starts abusing them and telling them you can leave, and then they'll send the DSS to even go and send them away from where Saudi Arabia.
From where they are going to get good jobs. Can you imagine that?
They still went there and chased them away. So is this the way you built your country?
It's very unfortunate.
You're a friend of the government.
Don't allow to read a book for us. When we have a book to read.
Actually, I just can't say on this. I don't want to put anybody in trouble. One of the things that has been working in my head was to ask the Minister of Culture to resign. But okay, there I've said it.
Well, the Minister of Culture will tell you that the Minister of Health. Of course, you know, in a situation where the two ministers of health are contradicting each other, in the same room, they were sitting opposite and they were contradicting each other, and the Minister of Labor was busy bragging. And I think it's the system. We need to work on the system. Hello, Mr. Morakio. Hello, sir. Hello. Yes, sir. Okay. Oh, maybe it's the rain. Okay. It's raining everywhere in Ado-Ekiti. But go ahead, sir.
That whenever it's going to take place, any formal thing offline, I will want to be part of it.
Okay.
I intend me, yes. I intend me in Lagos in the next 6 to 4 days.
Okay.
So we can gather for that period, and we appreciate it.
Oh, okay.
It's quite an issue. I've discussed it even outside entertainment. I've discussed with people in sports, who also fall on that day, and they will have to be, running health care to raise funds. So I think that just like Colin said, we can really start something. It doesn't have to be perfect from the beginning. I'm aware I was very active in truncating, I should say, the day that Babangida was going to run onto the entertainment or the art and culture community there in the name done, which was not going to be in the interest of the artist. So it's an issue in which I've been quite interested over time, and I want to participate in it.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you very much. In fact, as you were talking, I remember that even Lagos state government, you know, they have this 40,000 per annum program. I saw the governor, or was it the deputy governor, on air saying that even Lagosians are refusing to pay the 40,000. So SHAIBU, it's not just about artists not ready to be, not to put money down. I think this insurance thing just doesn't seem to work, because the same way that people say they don't want to write their will. Because if you write your will, it's assumed that you are planning to die, and you're not supposed to die anyway. So I think is it a cultural program? I don't know who can put what. We have led down 6 minutes to that. Is it a cultural program with Africans? They don't want to write will because they are afraid that once you write your will, you die. But Ali, why are you laughing like that?
Nobody wants to die, sir.
Nobody wants to die. And they say if you write your will, you just die. So people don't want to pay for insurance because they believe that once you pay for insurance, they have a problem. But they can pay tithe in the church.
But sir,
yeah.
Concerning the insurance.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Insurance is different from pension. Because when you pay pension,
hold on, sir. Yeah, go on about it.
When it is time to collect the pension, they start giving you money that is not that's not reasonable, and then they tell you that you cannot collect it from a particular year. That's when you can have access to it, and you can't even get everything. So what's the essence of even paying in the first place? Whereas they have these monies to themselves, they use it for businesses and other things.
Well, so to help you through that,
mistrust.
Yeah.
Agencies.
Yeah.
Mistrust in our agencies. That's just it. And people they find it difficult to even feed. Let alone saving or doing insurance or any other thing.
But I understand what this
orientation, it can change.
Of course, you know that the government, because the government is broke, they've been borrowing all the money. Any money that is in pension, they go and borrow. Even the little cover that we forget, you know, when you have 10,000 to, like I have in my account now, 10,000 naira to cover, they are raking all the two covers, and they are taking it and using it to pay salary. So I think it's the system that we also have to tackle. But the practical steps that have been suggested there, we have to take them. Dr. Olaotan, I can tell you, anytime you can get Dr. Adewara to be interested, we would like to have her so that she can come on this program. And we make sure that it also joins our sister station, live station in Ibadan, which has even a larger reach. We can get the head of the artist associations to come and present their issues with the insurance team, with the health. And she can advise us. Maybe you can start with the telemedicine, you call it. Then we can start from there, and then we can start to expand from there. And then we also look at the advice given by Tony and Kesho. It's possible for the artists to come together and launch something. It's always possible, even though the collectives have a problem. But we can look for institutional support and see how we can push from there. But I just like to thank everybody for this intense discussion. We lost about 20 minutes before we started, and then now we've gained it because now we're 25 minutes above 8 o'clock, which means the next program has suffered. So last 5 minutes, I'd like us to play Victor Iwaifo. You can get the music because it's so confirmed. Now, in fact, I was trying to get the person's real name, said he has spoken to Victor Iwaifo's manager, Mr. Osaredo. He confirmed it a moment ago. So Victor Iwaifo is gone, and we pray for his soul. We hope that he will find his deserved rest. He was just 80, just recently. He was 80, and he's still being celebrated. In fact, there's a film that is going to be screened in somewhere in Germany, and he's one of the star interviewees in the film, and now the man is gone. It's a very terrible, it's a dark week, as Tony and Kesho has said. But thank you, everybody. I hate to leave us in this dark tone, but unfortunately, that is where we are. Good night, everyone. It's been Culture Train on Spirit of Nigeria Radio, where we bring the diaspora up to speed. And we'll be back here next week when we'll be talking about another subject. As we say on Culture Train, we only talk to people who are doing stuff. and then we dilate on ideas like this. We have an idea on the table now, health insurance for artists or creatives and health insurance. So we'll be taking that on board. And on another day, we will actually be talking about other issues that are affecting the artists. The Saturday before the 15th, we'll be bringing back Richard, and we'll be talking about the book network of book reading, book clubs, and reading promoters in Nigeria. I'll get used to it. We'll be talking about that in another edition that will be here. That should actually be September 11th. That will be the one before that 15th. So we will invite everybody. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Adeodutola. Thank you, Dr. SHAIBU, who had to leave all that thing that I was doing. Olaotan, Bolanle, Itayo Alo, Ambassador Lukoni. And I tell if I say I can't really know who is behind that. And Richard, thank you for coming to the studio. I know you have to travel to the internet to get to. Thank you. Good night. We leave you in the hand of Victor Wifo. May you find his deserved rest. Bye. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So who wants to reach out to Dr. Ademara?
Yes. Please send the.
I'll send you the contact. Yeah.